Dyer's Daily.
Over the last 15 years or so, I have done countless interviews with a variety of different people from different walks of life, musicians, businesses, charities, you name it. I've probably done it at some point in one of my various podcasts and in the old days, radio shows as well. And you don't always pay attention to just how many. And at one point, I think I was knocking out about 5 or 6 interviews a day. And so these build up, and it's only when you start to look back on it, because you have to remember when you're doing it from home, like I've been doing it, you're the one in charge of everything. And so you look back and you think, wow, that's a lot there as I'm trying to write them down and memorize them. But I know, because I remember these things happening, that there are some that don't exist, either because I've misplaced them somewhere and there's a likelihood I've actually deleted them, or they were never recorded in the first place, which did happen to me once, and only once as far as I can remember, and it was quite distressing at the time, because in the early days, certainly in the first 5 years, it was relatively hard to get an interview because the internet hadn't really taken off yet, and it was only out of good favor. I mean, luckily, the interview that I'm about to talk about was for an 80s radio station, so that kind of tipped the hat, and it was on FM in Spain too. And the interview was with an 80s pop star. I won't say who it was, but I was very nervous, and it wasn't one of my better interviews, if I'm honest with you. I found it very, very difficult, mainly because I wasn't that experienced. And I remember it was during a transition phase where I was trying to use the recorder on the computer as opposed to through a desk. And so I opened up my Skype recorder, I rang the guy, and then beforehand, actually, I got this notice saying, update your software. I didn't bother to do that. Kids, always update before you have to do something important, because I didn't update. I hadn't been using it very long, so I wasn't quite sure entirely how it worked. So I rang the guy up, I did the interview, and then I realized, I didn't record it. Because I didn't update it, it didn't record, and thus, it's gone. And I tried to reorganize it, but I never heard from this guy again. So I could have cried. If I'm honest with you, I was quite upset at the time, because I was like, I've got this interview with an 80s pop star that I had that could have kind of taken it to the next level, because, you know, there's credibility. I think when you add a list of names with fame attached to it, it kind of gives you that credibility and helps you to go on to the next one, sort of thing. But I'd lost this one, and I felt distraught. I was like, no, why? And so since then, I've been very hot on the heels of making sure that I archive every single thing that I do. And it's all because I lost that interview.
Dyer's Daily.